Fresh and Buds.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Fresh and Buds. I'm your host, Tommy Fresh, and you are all my buds. And this week I am joined by a bud of mine, Miss MelodyLikes from Twitter. You've seen her on Twitter. She is incredible. She's an awesome, positive influence in the community and the game. And I am very, very happy to welcome Melody. How are you doing, Melody?
Kia ora, Tommy. I am fantastic. Thank you very much for having me on the show. This is my first time being interviewed for anything fab related, so I'm pretty excited.
We are very excited to have you on. I hope it's going to be a good experience for you. I think we like to keep it pretty easy and casual here on Fresh and Buds, but we're gonna kind of get into some stuff about you, and then we're gonna talk a little about Uprising, which we got a ton of exciting information about.
Yes.
Where the excitement is basically boiling out of us at this point. I mean, I've seen you.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, you've been posting about it. I've been posting about it. Everybody's like losing their minds, and it's almost like, and I'm sure you feel the same way, Melody, that they gave us like just enough to get us super amped, but not enough that we're like craving so much more information. I'm like,
I agree. Yes, It has been a little tidbits and then bit by bit, and the fervor, and it's just risen, and now everyone's absolutely lost their minds. And dragons,
oh my God,
yes.
dragons! Yeah, it's so exciting, and I mean LSS, they're pros at this point in terms of getting us hyped up for some product and the game in general. So very exciting. But before we get into it, I do want to thank the Patreon, which brings the show to all of you fine people. Just launched it. You guys can check it out. I do little bonus apps each week, basically where I just talk to myself while smooth jazz is playing in the background, and usually it's kind of a look into my crazy mind and what I think about Flesh and Blood on a week-to-week basis, and there's some other benefits there too, and that link will always be in the show notes, and you guys can check that out. But let's get to the main topic here, Melody. First of all, let's learn a little bit about you. From what I know, you are from Flesh and Blood's home country of New Zealand, which, if Lord of the Rings has shown me anything, is a wonderful and beautiful country. How would you describe life there?
Oh, life here is amazing. We've got beautiful countryside. It's very chill here. I've actually recently moved from our capital, which is called Wellington, and it's quite a cold, windy city. And I've come back home to Tauranga, and so Tauranga is a huge beach city. Everyone's relaxed, and yeah, I love it. So, and life is great. We're very fortunate here with, I think, compared to other countries, with the sort of support we get from our government and health and all those kinds of things. And we're also very innovative, as you can tell from Flesh and Blood. Like, we've got this amazing game that's come out of our tiny little country, 7 years in the making, and there's more to come. There's another great TCG that's about to come out in September as well, straight from New Zealand.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. What do we know the name of that one coming out?
Yes, it is called Sorcery Contested Realm. I'm not sure if I should be like cross promoting, but
No, that's actually,
okay, cool.
I have heard of Sorcery. I did not know that they were coming out of New Zealand as well. I mean, there's something about New Zealand to me, and I've never been there, and I would desperately want to visit. That seems to breed this beautiful execution of the fantasy genre, if that makes sense. I don't know if it's the
Absolutely, yes.
yeah. I don't know if it's the people. I don't know if it's the geography or whatever it is. But I mean, Peter Jackson. I mean, I can go on and on about Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings until I'm blue in the
Hmm.
face. I mean, it changed my childhood, and probably I wouldn't be into stuff like Flesh and Blood if it wasn't for that. So, what is your take on how New Zealand kind of curates that kind of vibe for the genre?
How we curate? What do you mean by how we curate that vibe? Do you
Well,
mean
I think that what would you say leads to such great innovation in the fantasy genre? Is it the people? Is it the geography? Is it your landscapes? You know, what is it? I mean, or is it none of the
mm,
above? And you just guys are very lucky to kind of produce this great fantasy content for the world.
that's a really good question. I've actually never thought of it. I would say it's probably a combination. Like we've got Peter Jackson, we've got Taika Waititi, who is huge with Marvel, Star Wars, Disney. We've
Hmm.
got these TCGs coming out, and it's not only in the TCG space. Like we are pioneers in science and technology, small tech, I'm going to say. And yeah, I think maybe it's the freedom.
Mm.
It could even be political. I don't know. And when I say it political in a sense that, we're not held down. We have the freedom to do what we like. We have support from the government. We've got an organization called Creative NZ that supports up and coming artists and fashion designers and you name it. And they support financially and also with services. Not my fiance, my sister's fiance is actually plugged into that at the moment. He's an artist, so I think there's support in a lot of respects, and also as a nation, we're very supportive of each other and our endeavors. Like I'll I'm a little bit of an example of that. I'm all about our community, and if other people are trying to strive to achieve in business or content creation or whatever, I'm getting in behind that because I want people to succeed. So I think, yes, landscape, maybe a bit of politics, people, but also people in the sense that we want others to be successful.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, first of all, I did not know that you guys had programs in place to kind of promote and support artists, which is, something as an American I would love to see a little bit more of here in my home country because, I think culture lives and dies with the artist and
Mm,
and we'll get into a little bit about Flesh and Blood's art in general, but like it's the Flesh and Blood a TCG. It takes a certain amount of creativity and artistry to kind of pull off such a beautiful game, and game design is somewhat of uh, I guess a factor of that, but uh, that's great to hear. Now, outside of Flesh and Blood, what do
mm.
you do, Melody?
That's a great question. So I I said earlier that I recently moved, so I was a contractor in the change management people space, and I actually haven't been working for about 4 or 5 weeks. That's probably why I've been going so crazy on Twitter, is because I've had all the time in the world and to learn. So I like to spend time with my friends, learn fab. At the moment, everything I'm doing is kind of in the flesh and blood realm. I hope that doesn't sound too sad.
No, no.
That's when I am passionate about something, and flesh and blood is, is part of a list of things that Melody gets into. I give it my heart and soul, and so I've been fortunate that I've had the opportunity to basically just jump in head first, and so that's what I've been doing. I've been reading about flesh and blood and talking to people. I spend probably too much time on Twitter, but I love it because of the community. And I think when I get a job, things may change a little bit because obviously these 8 hours of my day. But for the time being, that's what I'm doing and just figuring out what I'm going to do with, I guess, my Twitter. And I've got melodylikes.com and yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know you said that it sounds a little bit sad, but I'll be honest with you, Melody. It sounds like the dream to me to be able to
Oh,
totally jump
okay.
into to be able to totally jump into Flesh and Blood because I think I even posted recently that I'm like uh, my personal day job has been quite draining, right? And then
Yes, I saw that.
yeah, and I'm so and when I do a lot of extra stuff for Flesh and Blood and the podcast and everything, and that doesn't drain me. And it's so great to have something that we're passionate about. That's important. I think that's
Yes.
a great I guess lesson that people, I hope. The listeners out there could take into their own lives because being passionate about something is always a positive thing. Unless being you're passionate about being mean to people and hurting them. We don't want that. We want
No, no,
passionate
we don't want that.
because that exists out there, I'm sure. But we're talking about the
Mm.
good stuff mostly. But
Yes.
I do have to say that you are like a total natural when it comes to using Twitter. Your feed is so wholesome and interactive. Y- and as someone who's been
Thank
in the
you.
yeah, you're welcome. And as someone that's been in the community for some time now, it is a breath of fresh air to kind of see that come into the community because it's easy to get negative about things when you're so personally attached to it. But it is nice to see the positivity kind of shine through. My question for you is: have you always been like this absolute pro on social media and Twitter and stuff like that?
A pro. I So a little bit of history. And I'm talking about keep talking about myself in third person. When Melody becomes passionate about something, about a decade ago, how I actually got my Twitter handle, which is NZ Fashion, New Zealand Fashion, is I decided back then that I wanted to help our fashion industry. So I have a bit of a fashion background, and I started a website, and I was the editor, and I had about 40 or so contributors from around the world. So we're talking about writers, photographers, des- I helped designers, and I built this community on Facebook and had our website. And so that's kind of where the social side came from. And I built that up, and unfortunately, work got in the way, and I kind of had to close my website down, which is very sad. But that's sort of where it started. So I haven't had a lot to do in the social space for a long time. I know you said pro, and I had this conversation a few times on Twitter last night. Is I what and I don't even say what I'm doing. I think of myself as just a girl who loves cardboard, is very passionate. I jump on Twitter and I talk about it and I
Hmm.
share the passion. Um, there's no, I don't have a rule book, or I don't schedule stuff or think about what I'm going to talk about. It's all sort of organic, and I'm just talking, and I love talking to people, and I love meeting people. I'm interested in people and, their journey with Fab and their achievements, and, and also when they're not feeling so good, and understanding that and seeing, how we can help support them. So I don't know if pro is the right word. I'm just doing me, to be honest. And that's how I roll.
Yeah. Oh, well, I mean, it definitely shows that it's totally organic. And maybe pro is not the right word for me. I think maybe just a natural. You just hop on there and it feels like you. It doesn't feel like you're trying to post. Like I feel like some people you could tell that they're like, "Oh, I'm posting to post." You're out there actually, kind of giving the community your thoughts and what's going on with you and how you feel about the game as it stands and you know over the past however how many years Twitter's become quite a place for communities to grow um,
Yes.
and I think it's a you're doing a great job. I would say, and it's fun. And I feel like I could take a few notes from you as well. I need to kind of use Twitter like Melody. Um,
Oh, thank you. Come join the kōrero. Kōrero means conversation in Māori.
okay, yeah.
Come join us.
Uh, so here's a question. I mean, about you'll have to correct me if I'm saying it wrong. Maori, is that the
That is fine. We roll our R, so we say Māori.
Maori?
But that's cool.
Is that
Yeah.
closer?
Hey, whoa. Yes.
I mean,
Well done, Tommy.
yeah, I took a little Spanish in high school. We roll a lot of R's in Spanish, so the tongue got the
Love
workout
it.
then.
Yes.
But now I do notice that you do use a lot of Maori words in your posts. You are of Maori descent.
Yes, I am. Yep.
Yeah, cool. And now I mean, this is totally not flesh and blood related, but it's something that I'm interested about, and you know what this is what the podcast is about. I want to talk about things I'm interested in. The I guess the history of New Zealand and Maori is that a something that's in the New Zealand culture on the day-to-day basis? Would you say?
So that's a really good question. It is definitely a part of who we are.
Mm-hmm.
Māoridom permeates through a lot of, I'm trying to think of, a lot of, I guess, New Zealand-based things. So, we have, I don't know if you've heard of the All Blacks before. They're our national rugby team. So, when the All Blacks go on to play other countries or in competitions or events, they do a haka, which is part of our Māori traditions. It's a war dance. It is incredible. And, it is so cool. Tommy, if you've never seen one, you need to Google Māori haka, or I can send you a link. They are fierce and they're amazing.
I've seen it. It's so incredible. I mean, it is intimidating for the other teams, that's for sure.
Yes, it is. And in terms of, Māori language, I am not fluent in Māori, in te reo Māori. However, whenever I can, and I try to drop words in, like, that is probably something that I am purposeful with. And because I speak a little bit at home, it kind of comes naturally. But then when I'm on Twitter, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to throw this word in. And I've had a couple of friends like, hey, what's this language? This is really cool. Can you teach me some words? And I'm like, yes, I can. I can definitely do that. Trying to build that awareness of our language, because it is taught in schools here in New Zealand. It is optional. But it's probably spoken more by, hopefully lots of Māoris don't listen, but non-Māori who love our language and want to learn it than actual Māori. So sorry, I went off on a tangent, Tommy.
That's okay.
That's
okay. This is a safe space for tangents galore. I appreciate them. And no, that's very interesting. It's just something I was curious about. I see you use a lot of the words in your posts, and even in our private conversations, you've used some, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, because here, I've mentioned in America, I would love to see a little more of our heritage and our native language be used a little bit more. So it is something that it fascinates me about New Zealand. I guess it being embraced, which is really cool to me. So, but all that being said, let's talk about Flesh and Blood, Melody. I want to know how Flesh and Blood came into your life.
It was by accident. So one of the jobs that I was in last year, I think, I just started in the new job, and hopefully this doesn't offend anyone, but I was looking for all the nerds and all the geeks in the office, because I just started playing Magic the Gathering with a friend of mine, and I was really excited. I'm like, okay, right. So I ran around and I'm looking for little figurines of, like, is it Warhammer, I think, and D&D on people's desks, and I found he's a graphic designer, I think. And I asked him, and I'm like, I hear that you're into Pokemon, and do you play Magic? And he actually went off on this huge tirade about Flesh and Blood, and because Monarch had just been released, and Monarch to the Moon. And he was like, it's prohibitive, and people are trying to get in, and all the whales are buying up all this, all the product, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh, well, this is interesting. What's he talking about? And so I forgot about it, and then so I volunteered at a board gaming convention in New Zealand called WellCon. It's the biggest in the country. It's amazing. And when I was there, I saw a guy that I played board games with outside of this. And I was like, oh, do you know anyone that plays Magic the Gathering? And he's like, oh, forget about that. He's like, you need to get into Flesh and Blood. And I'm like, what's Flesh and Blood? He's like, you need to play. It's amazing. And I'm like, okay, there's all this hype. And so we kind of I think we went into lockdown, our second lockdown in New Zealand, not long after that. And I was like, right, I need to find out about this Flesh and Blood. And I don't know if you know his name. His name's Chris Sires, and he has Flesh and Blood Unseals on Facebook. So
Yeah.
here's people, and you can, yep. So I was like, all right, I'm going to watch this. I'm going to see what they do and what these cards look like. And I got addicted. And I was like, this is so amazing. I'd never seen an unboxing before. I'd never seen these cards. And, during lockdown, I'd stream it to the TV, and I'd make all my flatmates watch it with me and get excited. And basically from there, because I don't know if it was unboxing Monarch, but I went and looked at fabdb.net and found Phantasmal Footsteps, and I'm like, oh my God, that card is amazing. I want that card. So I bought my very first box of Monarch first. It cost a lot of money, but I'm like, that's okay. And, set everything up on the kitchen table and unboxed it, and I had a Phantasmal Footsteps.
Oh my
And
God.
that was it.
Oh, wait,
That
really?
was it.
You're
Yes.
telling me that you're like, I went on the FabDB, I saw Phantasmal Footsteps. You ordered a box of Monarch First Edition. You said
Correct. Yep.
and then you cracked the Phantasmal Footsteps. I mean, that is.
I did. Yes, and
that
I
is-
screamed out.
That is fate if I've ever heard it. Oh my Lord.
It was meant to be, and look at us now. And so, basically, from there, I was like, "Oh my goodness!" And I because I'd started playing Magic, and I only had one friend that played, and I was on Arena. I didn't really like it, and because lockdown was really tough to try to go into stores and play people, and I ended up collecting. So I bought boxes and I cracked them, and I jumped on Unseals and bought a few boxes for Chris, and won some, lost some. And then I also, we're going to talk about it later, you said, I think, artist proof. So I kind of joined a card, we call it the cartel, and to buy artist proof. So for me, the passion started with the art and unboxing. I'd never seen unboxing before. I cracked Phantasmal. That was it. And then I basically collected, and I jumped into socials, and I'd see, what everybody was doing, and just get a feel for the community. I'm very community focused. And then I had been trying to learn to play her. And because of lockdown, like, there's a store in Wellington called Cerberus, and a fantastic player called Kiki. Hopefully Kiki listens, who's one of our national champs. And
I hope so
Kiki's
too.
a manager there. And I was like, Kiki, I want to learn to play. And it took, I think, 6 months for us to finally have a game. And Kiki, that was the first time I'd ever played anybody. And well, it wasn't in real life. We had it on TTS, and that is the beginning of my journey of actually playing. So that was just under 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Well, now, so
that was a long story. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I have questions. I have notes.
Cool.
The first question is you did mention board games. So you were a board gamer coming into this TCG space, right?
Not really. I'd only just started dabbling.
Okay.
I had been to a couple of board game meetups, but I wanted to when I said that I volunteered, I just wanted to support somehow. So I cruised
Okay.
along, and I haven't played a lot. I have a lot that are still in packages, as you know. I don't know if you saw my AP artist proof unboxing. I have a lot of unpacked.
Yep.
This is the
Yep.
thing about me getting excited about stuff. If I find something and there's other stuff in the background, that just gets thrown to the side and I'm all in. So I've played a little bit like Wingspan
Oh
and some
yeah.
other cool games, but not the, there's some pretty hard out games in there with a lot of strategy involved. I haven't played a lot of those.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about board games is there's all kinds of play levels that you can get into. And it is interesting to me because you did mention Magic, but it doesn't sound like Magic was a huge part of your
Nah,
life, like a lot of the Flesh and
no.
Blood community. But I have met quite a few people that have come from board games, and it is interesting. I think that Flesh and Blood, in a way, kind of I guess tickles a lot of different people's fancies and kind of brings them in. Now, you mentioned that you were kind of checking out the community of Flesh and Blood and how important
Hmm.
community was to you. Now, do you feel that as someone that's coming in and you were looking from the inside or from the outside in at first, now you're in the inside. You're very much in the inside. Uh, do you find how do you find the Flesh and Blood community? Is it a positive one? Is it a good one? Do we have stuff to work with or work on? I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Oh, that's a great question. Now, are you talking about the whole scope of the
I guess
community, so
maybe in a
online and
general
offline?
maybe in a general sense. I mean, the Twitter community is pretty probably the most vocal community that we can
Hmm.
take part in. Maybe Facebook as well. I'm not on Facebook. I don't know what's going on over there, but um, yeah. But in a general sense, I guess, like
Mm.
how do you feel about the Flesh and Blood community? Is this a positive one? Should we be working on anything? Because it's important and it's important for the I guess the future of the game.
I feel that our Flesh and Blood community is absolutely incredible. I and this is in an online from an online sense and in the Flesh and Blood. Almost all of my experience and interactions with people have been supportive and helpful and excited and positive. I started on Facebook, and I don't want to bag it too much. Like, there's some great people and there's some great stuff that happens there, but I'm like, oh, let's see what's happening on Twitter, and that's why I jumped on Twitter. And then that was it. I was like, okay, everyone on here is absolutely amazing, and not that I'm 100% positive all the time, because I know that shit happens. Excuse my language. I hope I'm allowed to
Yeah.
swear. Um, but even from in the Flesh and Blood, so I before I started playing, I bought some amulets, some Cold War amulets from a player, and this is in my hometown Tauranga. I was visiting, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll pick them up. And he's like, why don't you come and have a game? And I'm like, oh, I've never played before. He's like, just come and you can have some games with me, and I'll share my deck, and we can do this and we can do that. I was like, whoa. And so I went in, and this guy and his girlfriend are like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And, and then somebody came over, and he was trying to help me to play, and he didn't do a very good job, but that's okay. I wasn't, like, put off. But in every experience that I've had in the Flesh and Blood, and I mean every single one, the people have been amazing. And even last night, I went to my second armory, and I got smashed by everybody. But one of the players, his name's Kingy, he smashed me with Kano, like I think it was third round. And then he's like, right, Melody, we're taking all our cards back and we're going to replay this, and I'm going to walk you through everything, and I'm going to teach you some stuff. And he did that. And like, people just want to help. They just want you to learn. That's what I love about it.
Yeah, it is incredible. I think we're all very invested in the game, and it's it's something unique with this game to me that I feel, and because I've been involved in other communities before, that the player base realizes how important welcoming new players is as a whole, and I think
Hmm.
uh, we can't afford to like be total jerks and whatever to new players as they come in. We want
Mm.
to welcome them. We want to show them the ropes. We want to, we want to see them get to our level. I think as a bunch of players, I don't think anybody I mean, for the most part, I could be speaking out of line, but I don't think anybody wants to just totally smoke people in games all the time. I think we want a good challenge. That's why we play a game like Flesh and Blood. It's very skill intensive.
Yes.
We want to win just barely through our skill, not like totally run over someone. Sure, maybe in like a pro quest or whatever, we want to take any win we can get. But when it comes to armories and even some skirmishes, which we'll talk about in a bit, uh, it's nice to be able to just kind of win a fair game and also bring in a new player at the same time.
Absolutely. And I think there's this fantastic culture of wanting to build a community, wanting to help new players, and creating this support network around them. That's been my experience, and I've had countless people on Twitter and on Facebook have exactly the same experience. So I can't speak for other TCGs, but
Mm-hmm.
the feedback I've had is that it is quite unique. I mean, even when I was in Magic, and I don't bag Magic, I did enjoy it, but I love Flesh and Blood more. I went into their social spaces and just totally different vibe. And
Yes.
I was a new player and I'm wanting to learn, and I just felt like I couldn't really ask questions. Whereas in our space, in the Flesh and Blood space, I'm smashing people. I'm on Twitter like, how do you do this? And can somebody help me do that? And even on Facebook, there's a rules group, and I go through there and I read what other people are asking about, different mechanics and how things work. And people are just jumping in there and helping, and they're not, it's not a negative, oh, well, you should know this. Or, it's a, okay, this is how you do it. Well, and here's an example. So I love that about this game and the people.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's almost at the point where people are jumping at the bit to help you, like to like they're waiting in the wings to give you some pointers and stuff like that, which is which is awesome.
Oh, can I tell you something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Last weekend I had to create a calendar because everyone's in different time zones, right? And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people in the States are like, oh, I want to help. And then we've got, Az from Go Again Gaming and his Discord and different Discords. And I just, I've got all these people that I want to play and want to help me. And we just couldn't figure out times. Like, I think even with you, even though I got the time wrong, and um,
It's
I've got
so
a
hard.
calendar so that, yeah,
It's
it is. And so
so
people
hard.
go in and then they can just be like, okay, these are the slots I've got available. And I've tried to, have 3 different slots on every day, and somebody can pick one that suits them, and then we can play. And I've got a game after this, after I finish talking to you, with Mr. Smithell in Pittsburgh,
Oh, very
and
nice.
a game with a new player. So yes, you're right. There's so much support, people wanting to help, and I love it. And I'm giving some of that back, as I'm learning and people are wanting to learn. I'm getting messages from people going, "Oh, what did you do?" And so I'm helping others too with what little knowledge I know. But it's all about giving back.
Yeah, yeah, and as you play more, it's easier to teach. So, I do want to
Yes.
get to a nice little segment here called I like to call the
Mm.
fresh faves. This is a new segment
Oh
on the
yes.
show where I ask
Sure.
you some of your favorite things
Hmm.
about Flesh and Blood. The first one: who is your favorite hero?
Viscerai is my favorite.
Oh, Viscerai! Got Living Legend
Oh,
in
living legend.
Blitz,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
got a little slap on the wrist in CC as well, much to the chagrin of a lot of my friends and buds out there. But kind of flew a little too close to
Yes.
the sun, if you ask me. As
You did.
as a Levire player myself, I can't really find it
Oh.
within me to be too upset about it, but what can you do?
I
Um,
think there's a lot of people that feel the same way, but he's got a special place in my heart. He's my first ever hero.
yeah, and honestly, one of the most unique and I think fully fleshed out heroes, which is awesome. Do you have a favorite weapon?
Rosetta Thorn.
Ooh, the Rosetta Thorn, the very powerful common token weapon, so good,
Yep,
so very
amazing.
good. Now, I feel like I know the answer to this based on our conversation earlier, but equipment, is
Mm.
it Phantasmal Footsteps?
Well, I've never played, so I like the art of Phantasmal Footsteps,
Mm-hmm.
and I've tried Prism. I think Prism will definitely be one of my next faves, and I do love what that card, or sorry, that equipment does. But yes, it would be that, and actually Vex and Cool Hand.
Ooh, yeah. Wow. I mean, Vexing Quillhand, what an all-star out of Everfest, right? Just
Yes.
so strong and powerful. And
And
finally,
it's only
oh,
two
yeah,
turn chance, but it can make the difference in a game.
it really can. It's just those incremental, you know, moves like that
Mm.
that change the whole game. And now, what is your favorite non-hero slash weapon slash equipment card? Your average card in the deck.
So would that be Sonata? But Sonata's getting kind of nerfed. I really like Mordred Tide
Mordred Tide is
for
quite good. I mean,
yeah, I like Mordred. I love creating rune chants. So if I can set it up and swing out a whole heap of rune chants using Mordred, then I'm a very happy person. So that's probably my favorite. Yep.
yeah, I gotta say, is there a better card to start off your turn with in Viscera? I don't think so. Than Mordred
No.
Tide.
No.
Yeah, not at all. You see that as their first play, you're like, oh, here we go. but
Here we go. Let's get this party started.
now I know from Twitter and talking to you that you recently partook in a skirmish with
Yes.
your favorite Viserai, which is unfortunately now living legend. I
Mhm.
want to know, as a new player yourself, how was that experience for you?
It was it was kind of surreal. I I was very nervous, and I wasn't gonna go, and I went on Twitter and I'm like, oh, because being a new player, and I'm like, oh, no, I think I suck, and I'm gonna get like owned. I was quite apprehensive, but then lots of encouragement. I'm like, okay, cool, I'm gonna go, and I had been in the store the week before and met one of the players, so that was cool. So I knew somebody, and it was amazing. I think there was about 18 people, which might be small to those of us or those of you in the US, but in my little town or city, I should say, that's a heap of people,
Oh yeah.
and it's yeah, like I was actually quite happy as well because there were quite a few. There was one, two, three females, so I was like, woohoo,
Oh.
wahine toa, which means strong woman in Māori, and a real sort of diverse age group, and it was a fantastic experience. Like I prefaced every game with, look, I'm brand new. This is like my first. I think it was my first week. I think. Um, and just please be patient, and I'm going to ask lots of questions, and I'm going to ask to read your cards, and everyone was really, really good. I'm like, okay, cool, and they'd walk me through different things, and so even as a brand new player, I felt really comfortable and supported, um, which was, I think, really important for me, because if it had gone a different way and people had been like, you know what, nah, uh, I might have felt quite differently, because this is my second ever in the flesh sort of experience.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the next round. But I think for if there's any new players that are listening, even if you've only been playing for a couple of weeks or 4 weeks, I say just jump in and give it a go. Like the community around the world, I'm pretty certain are very similar in how they treat new players, and it's a heap of fun. I just had so much fun. I had so much fun.
It really is,
So
and that's awesome to hear, and I'm glad to hear that nobody was a jerk and you had any kind of
no.
bad taste in your mouth. And I want to echo that sentiment to new players that are listening. Just go. I mean, I can speak for
Mm.
myself that my local game store, my local game store now has two calling winners and one battle hardened winner there, and they're some of the best.
Whoa!
Some of the best. Yeah, New Jersey
Oh my
is
goodness.
is one of the hot spots of competitive play, and I play with a lot of and some former Magic pros and stuff like that, and they're all
Wow.
super good, and also on top of them being super talented players, they are also great people, and they've when I first started playing, I got so much better, and I even if you go and you're a new player and you might get whomped by these better players, most of them are willing to help you, and sometimes playing against great players is how you get better, and
Absolutely.
soon you're beating them, and they're like, uh-oh, we taught them a little bit too much, but yeah, but I wanted to echo that sentiment. Now, you did mention that you had
Cool.
some women players
Mm.
at the skirmish, which was very cool. Now,
Mhm.
it's no secret that the TCG space has largely been skewed towards like kind of a male dominated player base for many years, and at least from my perspective, and it has started to get better as of late. I wanted to know, you as a woman, have you found that the fab community to be safe and welcoming? Because that's probably the most important thing, for increasing a player base from many different aspects.
Yes, I have.
That's good.
Yeah. I Yeah, that's all I have to say on that. Like, there's the support, and as I've talked about, a lot has been incredible. I think, irrespective of my gender, I would
Hmm.
hope that everybody, and like, because I'm so new to the community, and I've seen lots of conversations. I'm not going to say I would hope. I know that everybody would be treated equally
Hmm.
from what I've seen. So, yeah.
Which is so important because I think the last thing we as content creators and people in the community, and the last thing that I would hope LSS would want to hear is that certain player bases that kind of come to the game would be I guess anxious and shied away from it due to anything. But I've found personally that it has been great, and I did have an episode probably in December with a local New Jersey woman player, Dana Hagewood.
Ooh.
Hagewood, she's a great friend. She's an awesome player. She's played nationals. She's awesome. She almost won the skirmish I was at not too long ago, and we had a great conversation about that. And I guess it is good to see more women in the game, and I know that it's like easy for me to say as like a white dude on a mic, but but it is good to see, and I'm happy that communities around the world are being supportive of that. But I want to get to you've started making videos, right? And we touched on it.
Yes.
Yeah, touched on some artist proof unboxing that you just did. Some buds
Hmm.
out there might not know that you can even get artist proofs. Can you tell us what artist proofs are and how can we get them?
Absolutely. So artist proofs are, in terms of what they physically are, they're a card that has a blank back, and they're pretty much a replica
Hmm.
of any card that's printed. So it doesn't only happen in Flesh and Blood, it's in other TCGs as well. With our artist proofs, they are always non-foil, so you're never going to find a cold foil or a rainbow foil. And these cards are gifted to artists, and they can do what they like with them. So, this is another thing I love about LSS is they support our cosplayers, they support, the players themselves, this whole entire ecosystem of players, collectors, investors, whatever, but also our artists. So the artists get these cards that they can then resell, which they do. And so the artists normally get between, I think it's 30 and 40 copies of whatever card or illustration that they've produced for Flesh and Blood, and they can sketch them. Sometimes they might number them, and they sign them, and they sell them. And I actually went out, I went crazy, and I hunted down every single artist I could find that I liked. And I contacted them on social media and emailed them if I could find their email address. I went onto their website and basically just asked them, hey, are you selling your artist proofs? They're also very busy people. So for anyone that's listening is like, oh my God, I'm going to do the same as what Melody did. Just know that, you might not hear back from one for months. And sending them a million messages isn't going to get them to respond quicker. It's probably going to hack them off. So I was kind of gentle. Well, I say I smashed social media, like when I went and I found them all and I messaged them and I just asked, and some came back straight away. Some are actually, a group in Russia are part of a collective, like a graphic design studio. So you can't get them from them, but there's 3 ways you can get artist proofs. You can either contact the artist directly. There is an incredible organization or business called the arthousesyndicate.com, and they have a huge group of artists that you can purchase artist proofs and art prints from. And Beamer with Pencil, who is also an artist who's behind Lord Sutcliffe and a few others, he has created a website called Proof That Card, and he's got, I think, maybe 3 or 4 artists on there, so you can also purchase those artist proofs through his website. So there's 3 ways that you can get them. Or you can win one from me in a couple of weeks' time when I run a competition.
Yeah, well, which would be very exciting, and we will drop all your socials for those who don't follow you to follow. But these artist proofs are a really awesome way to kind of support these artists and also get some really cool keepsakes. I mean, let's be real, they're pretty awesome.
They are, and the sketches are very cool. But just having the art and I've become friends with some of these artists because we talk heaps. So I really like that aspect of Flesh and Blood as well.
Awesome. Now, speaking of cool art, we did get some information about the upcoming booster set, Uprising.
Oh my God! Yes. Yes. Whoa. Mm-hmm.
How stoked are you, Melody? Because I, for one, am so stoked.
Mind is blowing. When you see me on Twitter losing my mind, that's literally me losing my mind. I went to Armory last night. Someone said dragons, and that was it. And we were like, what about Marvels? And what's going to happen? And yeah, I am very, very excited, along with every other person in our community. There's some really good shit coming up. Oh, sorry, good stuff coming up.
you can curse here, Melody.
Okay, all right.
Because I don't do it a lot. I think actually for the first time last episode I did curse, which I don't. It just slipped out. I mean, I curse like a sailor mostly outside of the podcast, which is like, somehow I get it together on the podcast. But I do have some information for any of the buds out there who haven't heard about Uprising or have been living under a rock. But we have 3 confirmed heroes. Icelander, which we had her young version out of Everfest. Now we get the full-fledged Icelander, which could be really annoying with all those frostbites, but we will see. We got Faye. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce his name yet, but he's the draconic ninja.
Mm-hmm.
Draconic, which is the flame talent, and then we have Dromai, the oh man, she is quite the badass. The draconic illusionist that is going to summon dragons, Melody, which is so crazy.
Yes. And have you seen the three dragons? Have you seen the imagery for them?
I have. They are incredible. I mean, I'm so curious as to how we are going to get the dragons out onto the playmat, the arena, because
Yes.
it's interesting because the allies in the past have been created through cards. So I have to imagine maybe Dromai's hero ability or her weapon creates them. I don't know.
Wow, and they've got 6 life, don't they?
The well, Drakenai,
Christ.
the one that we've seen for sure has 6 life. I know
Yeah.
that the allies from Monarch had 6 life as well. Blasphemous and I'm blanking on the
Ursa.
yeah the
Ursa's
one
always been.
for Chain but Drakenai has 6 life. But the interesting thing about Drakenai was it has a rarity, majestic. So instead of it being in the token slot, it will be in the pack as a majestic, which raises questions for people like me who like to booster draft quite a bit. So do we have to? Is there going to be a token version of a dragon that we can have guaranteed for Dromai's deck? It brings up a lot of different questions. What's your take on these dragons?
I just love dragons. I'm not sure. The whole the ally part of the game didn't even know existed because I've not played anybody but the Sarai. So I will be trying all 3 heroes, so I'm not sure. I'm just excited to be able to summon, conjure, whatever dragons and see what happens. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's really cool and definitely gonna pique the interest of a lot of people and hopefully a lot of people who haven't even tried the game. Usually, dragons will push them over onto our side here.
Oh yeah,
which
yes.
is cool. Now, the cool thing about at least that we know from Dragonite that we're getting these Marvel rarities, which are basically the
Yes.
alternate arts, the full arts, the kind of chase cards of the set, along with cold foils. I mean, this is a collector's dream. What as someone who collects quite a bit, are you planning to get all the Marvels here in
I would
Uprising?
love to get all the marbles. The art is sick. It is just something else. And like I said, at the moment I'm looking for work. So I hope I get work quite quickly because I'm going to be investing a lot of money cracking boxes to get. Even if I could get one, I feel like the rarity is going to be almost at a fabled level, right? Like
Feels
even
like it.
I didn't even get a 2-sided Bravo. I mean, I only cracked a couple of cases, but I did get a fabled actually in Everfest, but it's a huge chase card, and I've had a conversation on Twitter asking, what are people going to do, and some are like, I'm getting 10 cases. Wow.
Oh my god.
And I know, like just crazy. That's Red Zone Rogue, by the way. That's Kellen. He's like, yeah, I'll do I think it's 26 boxes. I'm like, wow.
Oh yeah. Well, leave it to Kellen. Yeah, he's getting quite a bit.
But I think I would love to get my hands on one, whether or not that happens. I like to crack boxes I love unboxings to find my cards. So it's only been in the last couple of weeks since I started playing that I've actually bought cards to play with. So that is one huge part of Flesh and Blood that I love. Is the cardboard and cracking and the chase. The chase.
The chase is gonna be so high, especially with now Uprising is gonna be the first set that there's no distinction between first edition and unlimited. You can get the cold foils and the rainbow foils in the same set with these Marvels. LSS is God, they're geniuses because they gave us this preview card image of Drakenai with both versions. and the Marvel version looks so much better than the
It
regular
looks a
version.
million times better.
And you're
It
like, well,
does.
I don't want the regular version. What the heck?
I
But
want the other.
oh man, it's so exciting. Now, do you have any concerns with this set? The hype is very real right now.
Mm.
I can speak for that myself. I mean, I'm so excited. But I do have a couple concerns. Do you have any concerns with this set coming out here in June?
I am going to be honest, and I've listened to I think Tarek Patel and Matt Rogers and a few other pro players had a Twitter Spaces sort of corridor, which is a discussion
Mm-hmm.
online a couple of days ago, and they were just talking about their feelings on the current meta and a little bit about I think Uprising. And I've listened to some other discussions. Like I can't really give an authoritative view because I just need to let everyone know, but because I'm so new and I'm only learning and understanding the game and the heroes and the mechanics and the
Mm-hmm.
meta and all that sort of stuff, like I can't say, like, I'm just excited because I'm excited. There's
Yeah.
just so much cool new stuff coming out, and I want to play everything. I can't speak from personal experience. I know people are going, oh well, with these new cards, it's gonna in the BNR announcement, it's gonna break. Prism still needs to go down and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I'm just gonna pick some heroes and I'm gonna play. And as I grow as a player and understand and learn, and I'd love to be a competitive player. I've not actually shared that, but that is a goal
Yeah,
of mine.
it's a great goal.
And like, so for the time being, I'm just learning. But so I don't have any concerns. That's me being honest. But what are
Well,
your concerns, Tony?
well, what about? I mean, I as a collector, I know we've talked a little bit about
Mm,
playing, but as a collector, is there any
mm.
concern with this abolishment of first edition and unlimited, or is this just? I think it's. I mean, to me, it seems all net positives from a collector standpoint. Uh,
Mm.
but is there any concern there for you?
Not at all. I love the idea of there being no separation. So we've just got one set. That's it. No more unlimited. It caused a lot of problems. That much I can speak to from what I've
Mm-hmm.
seen, what I've heard, what I've read. I mean, we've got a pretty good supply here in New Zealand, but I love that idea, and it means that I didn't buy. I have bought a bit of unlimited, well, because I wasn't around when Welcome to Wraith and Ark and stuff, but I think it's going to be a lot easier, and I don't see there being any negatives. I'm a collector.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a whale by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I don't spend tens of thousands of dollars or anything like that, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm not I'm not bothered by it, and I've actually not seen or read any other collectors. Like, I know a few collectors um, have anything negative to say about it. Just hype for the dragons.
Yeah, just
That's
hype for the draft. Yeah, and
what.
honestly, it's probably all net positive. Especially, Unlimited seem to have had created consumer confusion, from what I saw
Yes.
anyway. But my,
Mm.
my my only concern, Melody, is drafting. It's my favorite way to play the game.
Mm.
And what we're seeing
Oh,
is
okay.
two draconic heroes and one ice hero. And my only concern is uh, the balance, right? Because if two heroes are kind of at the table are kind of fighting for the draconic cards, and only one hero is fighting for the ice card,
Mm.
we could see some kind of wonky stuff. But I do have faith in LSS, and that's my only concern. Do you have any wants or wishes for the set? Do you certain cards or even just general flavor that you want out of Uprising?
That's a good question. I big long pause. I'm going to say no. To again, because I'm a new player. This is the first experience for me. This is my first ever set as a player.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna, like, it's all fresh and new, and I'm still learning all the cards, and so no, like,
You're here for the
there's
ride.
nothing.
You're
I am here for the ride,
yeah.
and I hope it doesn't make me sound a bit like an airhead. Like I just need to let everybody know that I am very new, so I'm
No, no.
absolutely here for the ride, and I want to play all three heroes, so I'm probably gonna have to crack a lot of boxes to get those cards. But um, and just see how I go, and then craft from there, and iterate, and spend more time playing people in person. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah, well, as a big limited player, I hope that you get to have a great limited uh, experience like booster draft and sealed with this brand new set as your first set. Hope you get to go to some pre-releases and the
Oh
like.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yes. The whole drafting is I've I've never even looked about it. I know a couple of friends that love draft, and I hope that they actually bring out a fourth hero to balance it up in draft.
Mm-hmm.
There is talk of that. You never know, Tommy. They might release another hero that kind of balance. We've got four, and then might make even Steven.
Yeah, yeah. Even Stevens, exactly. I'm hoping. I'm hoping they kind of surprise us there. We will see probably in a couple weeks here. But yeah, you mentioned that you would like to get more competitive in the game. To kind of round things out on this podcast, what does your future with Flesh and Blood look like?
Oh,
Very
um,
bright, I hope.
I yeah, I'm not sure if but I posted last night. So something is that LSS emailed me yesterday, and I'm getting a content creator appreciation kit.
Oh wow, that's excellent. That's awesome.
So I lost my mind and screamed the house down and shook uncontrollably for a little while, and I'm still coming off the high. So, that for me is incredible, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to give away a heap of stuff to people, and I want to keep helping to grow this community with all these other amazing people. I want to continue to learn and grow as a player. So, dedicating more time to playing more people in the Flesh and Blood. I love playing TTS, and I appreciate everyone that helps me in that space. It doesn't compare, I'm going to be honest, to playing face to face with people, but
Yeah.
that's where I'd like to be. And just little baby steps. So, armories, I played in the skirmish, got top 8 in that, and then, I think next up is there's a pro quest in 4 weeks here or 5 weeks. And, I'm probably gonna crash and burn, but just giving everything a go and slowly getting better, and maybe going to nats or, callings and things like that. That would be
That would be a lot of fun. I mean, that's the best part about this
yes.
game, and even just feeling the energy in those large rooms with so many people playing a
Oh,
game
I
that
could
they
only
love.
imagine.
I do hope that you get to some of those larger tournaments, Melody, because it is something to behold. I will say that. But I
Mm.
do want to thank you for your time today. It's greatly appreciated. I loved our conversation. I would love for you right now to please plug
Yes.
anything you want to plug, and let the people know where to find you and what they can expect from you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me, Tommy. If you guys want to come hang out on Twitter, that's where I spend most of my time, just talking to people. My username on there is NZ Fashion. I have started a new YouTube channel. It's only got 2 videos, but there's some cool stuff on there. You can check that out. That's MelodyLikes. And yeah, so that's me.
All right, and all that will be in the show notes. And I guess my plugs, for all the buds out there who don't subscribe to me on YouTube. The YouTube is there, fresh and buds on there, and then Discord is in the link tree below, and you can follow me on Twitter at FreshBudsPod and email the show freshbudspod@gmail.com. Now, I like to end the show talking a little bit about food every week, and I've been taking suggestions from the patrons on the Patreon, which I should shout out again. This week comes from a fellow New Jersey native, Shin Jeremy, who has asked us to talk about the best hot heroes /subs/paninis. I like to call them hoagies. here, and I know that he lives a little bit closer to New York, and they call him heroes. So, what is your favorite sandwich that you can make at home, Melody?
My favorite sandwich that I can make at home would be on fresh whole grain bread, lots of New Zealand butter, salad, and probably roast chicken would be
to
yum.
me, Melody, that sounds like home. That sounds like I just got home from elementary school as a kid, and I just made like a nice little sandwich with that chicken. That sounds excellent. Personally, I the sandwich I make at home the most is actually tuna fish. I'm a big tuna guy, and I prefer to make it
Yes.
myself, so I don't order it a lot outside of my home. So it's like I like to be in control of the amount of mayonnaise
I was going to say lots of mayo. Yes.
Well, yeah, in control of the mayo and the hot sauce and the other accoutrements in my tuna fish, usually on.
Did you say hot sauce?
Oh yeah, I mean I throw hot sauce on my tuna fish always, Melody, always.
Wow. Whoa. Okay.
You should try it out if you like spicy food. I
Okay.
recommend any kind of hot sauce in tuna.
Is it like Tabasco, or do you mean like sweet Thai chili? What sort of hot sauce is that?
So I guess like a class. If I only have Tabasco around, I'll go for that. But I do like things really hot, so I'll go for some like some ball sauce or something like that. Like that really like I'm sweating in my kitchen kind of sauce. So, but
Oh,
any kind
wow.
of yeah or Cholula is a great option I think too. But yeah, those are some great
I'm
sandwiches.
hungry now. I
Yeah,
haven't had breakfast.
I haven't had dinner. Look at us. I mean, I'm in the States, you're in New Zealand, and we are hungry, and we're gonna go eat after this. But I want to thank everybody again for listening. And thank you, Melody, very much for coming
Thanks for having
on.
me.
Absolutely. And I hope everybody has a great week.